Alrighty, so hello everyone. My name is Zaina. I am a third year nutrition student at San Jose State and also a WHISK ambassador. So I was the one in charge bringing you all the nutrition programming for this semester. I am joined by my fellow classmate, Danya, who will be introducing herself right now.
Hello, everyone. I'm Danya. I'm glad you're all able to join me today. I'm also a third year nutrition student at San Jose State, and I look forward to sharing a little bit about Indian cuisine with you all.
All right, thank you for sharing. Now we'll get started with our presentation. So as you might know, India is located right there on the map. You can see it. It's located in southern Asia, and you will see it on the map right there. You can kind of see it right there. And it is a tropical country with a warm and humid climate, and it gets plenty of rainfall due to the monsoon seasons. It's really warm and humid, and it has a lot of rainforest, so a lot of biodiversity. And it's just really great for growing great food. So this is just a picture of a closer look at India. So India consists of about 28 states, each with its own distinct culture, especially food culture. So India is one of the most diverse places in the world, with up to about 60 different languages being spoken across this country. And it is home to people from all different religions and cultural backgrounds.
Moving on to food history, Indian cuisine has been around for nearly 5,000 years and is considered to have some of the most diverse cuisines in the world. It has influences from Persia, ancient Greece, Mongols, East Asia, West Asia, Arabia, and Europe.
So in terms of flavors based on the regions, as I mentioned before, every region has its own different style of cooking and different flavors that they like to incorporate. So this is just a couple examples of how different regions differ in their flavor profiles. So in the north of India, usually they use a lot of dairy. So things like ghee, which is clarified butter, yogurt, and paneer cheese, which is basically a cheese that is very common in India. Meats are also used, usually meats from goat and mutton, and some spices that can be used in that area include saffron and nut-based gravies and thick flatbreads like naan, if you've heard of it. It's like a really thick flatbread that is really fluffy and delicious. In the South, rice is a very big staple, very common, used in almost every meal. It is used to make a variety of different dishes, and some of the flavor profiles that are very popular in the South include spicy and sour flavors, and the sour flavors typically come from tamarind, which is a root that is very sour. Um, or a fruit, my bad. And it is also comes from tomatoes, and they like those sour flavors. Um, Also, coconut and seafood is very, very common. Coconut is a very big staple in India as well. So coconuts grow everywhere because it's a tropical country. So you will find it, especially in the south, that it's used in a lot of meals. In the east, the flavor profiles are more sweeter, not as spicy, more on the sweeter side. Seafood is also pretty common, including mustard seeds and poppy seeds are also some popular spices there. In the west of India, coconut is also another thing. Fish and rice, and achar is also a very common staple in most households. So if you don't know what achar is, it's vegetables pickled with spices, and sometimes they add meat in there as well. And it's super spicy. It's like little pickles that they keep in jars, and it's like long term. You can keep it for a very long time and eat it with rice or flatbread, anything. So these are just some examples of foods that you might find based on the different regions. So for the north, like I mentioned, flatbreads are very common, like naan, and also tandoor grilled kebabs. For example, right here, you can see like these chicken kebabs that are very, very common. You might see these in a lot of Indian restaurants, and they're very smoky and very delicious and spicy. In the East, there is another food called machar jol, which is a Bengali fish curry, and it is made of fish and is very spicy, somewhat sweet, and it's usually eaten with rice. In the South, dosa, that is another common food that most people like to eat for breakfast, and we'll talk a little bit about it later. It is a crispy and savory crepe made with fermented rice and lentil batter, and it's often eaten with a variety of different like curries and things like that. In the West, another common food that is highly eaten is khichdi, which is a rice and lentil porridge. Some regions make it like a fluffy rice kind of consistency, and some are more like a porridge type. So it really depends. And they like to add whatever spices they like and pair it with other things as well. So those are just some of the foods that are common in these areas.
So, for food and religion, the foods in India are heavily influenced by religion, and the most common religions in India are Hinduism, Islam, Jainism, Sikhism, and Buddhism. And something that all these religions have in common is the fact that they all have dietary restrictions. I'm sorry. And so the most dominant religions of Indian cuisine are Hindu and Muslim religions, and in the Hindu diets, they are usually vegetarian based, while the Muslim religion allows meat except for pork. Cheese and yogurt are prominent ingredients in the Hindu culture. Lamb, fish, and chicken are preferred within Muslim Indians. And with Jainism, it follows a strict vegetarian diet while avoiding all root vegetables. Buddhists follow a conscious eating diet to exercise balance, harmony, and delicacy. And Sikhs are often vegetarians. So, the common flavors and spices in India. One of the things that makes Indian cuisine unique is the use of variety of flavors and spices. Indian cuisine often uses locally sourced spices, herbs, veggies, and fruits. And because of the diversity on the ethnic groups and culture, Indian cuisine contains a wide variety of ingredients and food types. Sorry, I'm just looking at my notes. Okay, so common flavors and spices. So some of the common ingredients in Indian cuisine are chili peppers, red chili pepper, mustard seeds, which are essential in Indian cuisine, cumin, fennel, cardamom, cinnamon, coriander seeds, which are the seeds of cilantro. It has like a sweet aromatic flavor, turmeric, which is an earthy mustardy flavor, fenugreek, which is more of a bitter Mediterranean seed, garam masala, which varies based on which region it's coming from, and ghee, which is an Indian variation of clarified butter.
I would like to add that garam masala is kind of like a blend of a variety of different spices. And it usually is made with different spices that people prefer. So with every household, the recipe differs. But it can be also store bought. Just wanted to add that.
I was just going to add that in, Zaina, is that here in the United States, you can buy garam masala in the grocery store. So for those
Yeah.
of us who don't keep a spice container, what do they call the spice containers, Zaina?
I
There's a
forget.
name for it, but this picture is a beautiful
Yes.
picture of the spice container. So they would have a round container where these little dishes of spices are held, and every household has one. And then whoever's cooking would grab the different spices from this container and mix their own spice mixtures together. And so that would be their garam masala, that would be their
Mhm.
curry, right?
Exactly.
It's very special.
Yes, it varies from every household. So literally, I don't even think that everyone's cooking, even if they're making the same dish, it will not taste the same because everyone's mixture is different. So it's really based on different like preferences. Anyway, I'll let Danya. Okay, so this is just a really cool map that I found. It just kind of shows like the popular spices based on the different states and regions of India. So for example, if you could see it right here, we got some ginger, I believe, in the south. We also got some cloves. We also have, I believe that's cardamom up here. And there's also saffron, which is super popular, and a lot of different spices. I believe these are curry leaves, and just cinnamon. Like these are just one of the popular spices that are preferred, but honestly, a lot of households and a lot of families use most of these in like every dish. So that's very interesting. Also, I see star anise right here. And yeah, these are just some of the really like so diverse in spices used in India.
I wanted
And
to just point out too, Zaina, while we're on the spice map, I just had one little thing to add there is because I've never been to India, but I've had friends, lots of friends who are Indian and cooked with them a couple of times. And so not only are these spices different in every household, but then there's different ways of treating them, right? Some of them you might
right,
add in
right,
raw, and some of them you might toast, and some of them you might toast in oil. And each time you do that, you do it to get a different flavor out of that spice, right?
exactly.
So it's all about building flavor through spices. And this is what Indian cooks are so good at.
Yes, this is a really, really good point. I think adding spices, there are just so many variations of blooming the spices and toasting them, and they all get like different flavors, which is so fascinating and so unique about Indian cuisine in general. So thank you for adding that. And continuing on, this is another cool map that I found, and this is just documenting the popular foods of every state and every region of India. So a few things that I can point out. I can see like right here we have Tamil Nadu, some of the things that are things that they are popular for is like pongal and chettinad chicken, which is kind of like a really spicy chicken curry. Another place, Andhra Pradesh, this is really known for its Hyderabadi biryani, which I will mention in the future. It's just kind of like a really spicy and a mixture of like meat and a lot of different flavors. And I'll show you a picture of that later. So just some random things that I'm pointing out. So every region has its own iconic dishes, and this is just a fraction of what can be found in India. It's just so diverse. And it just shows just how different every region is. So I think that's very, very fascinating.
Yeah, so moving on to vegetables. So a lot of the vegetables, common vegetables used in Indian cuisine are ones you guys might be familiar with. Some are like onions, potatoes, ginger, garlic, which is often used in the form of a paste, green chilies, okra, cauliflower, tomatoes, eggplant, bitter gourd, which is actually, so you can see the picture on the bottom left, yeah, where the mouse is. So that is a picture of a bitter gourd, and it's similar to cucumber, a lot more bitter, and it actually may not suit everyone's palate, but it has great health benefits. It's rich in antioxidants and packed with polyphenols, which are known to reduce inflammation in the body. And spinach, peas, carrots, and then you can also see on the picture to the right, on the top picture, shows a man selling fruit on a rolling cart, and he also has a food scale next to him. These carts are often rolled around town while the owners shout the names of different produce being sold so that the people living in the area can come out and just get what they need. And we can move on to the fruits. So, fruits are a really big part of Indian culture. India is considered the fruit basket of the world. So you can actually see in the picture, the top picture to the right, that it's like a cart that's often found on the side of the road with lots of produce and baskets that are ready to be filled and given as gifts. So a lot of times in India, fruit is given as a gift. So they'll offer like baskets next to the fruit and you can fill them and go ahead and give it as a gift. Um, Mangoes are really popular fruits in India. They're often referred to as the king of fruits. And then lychee, which is in the picture, it is actually the most bottom picture. Yes. And then bananas, guavas, figs, pineapples, grapes, oranges, custard apple, which you also may not be familiar with. It's the picture to the right that's green with white on the inside, and many more. So traditional equipment used in Indian cuisine. The first one I'm going to talk about is the tawa pan, which is a flat grill pan that's often used to prepare fresh breads, um, like roti. And you could see in the picture to the right, the top two pictures. And then the next one is the tandoor oven, which is a traditional clay oven that's used for making various dishes. So you can see it on the bottom right. Um, so this oven is like a cylinder with coal on the bottom, and you can see the bread is kind of stuck to the sides. And oftentimes a stick is used to pull it out, or you can even place like skewered meat in the center and kind of grill it.
So in terms of meal patterns, excuse me, meal patterns in India, so we have pretty much in India 3 meals a day. So the morning meal, a midday meal, and an evening meal. So breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So for breakfast, obviously it varies by region. We already know how diverse India is, but typically breakfast, it kind of looks like this on the top right corner right here. This is more like South Indian breakfast. Some other breakfasts can include chapati or paratha, if you remember from this is called roti or chapati, and it's like a flatbread that's eaten usually in breakfast, but also for lunch and dinner, depending on preference. And that's often eaten with like a curry of some sort. It's usually in the morning, like to keep it light. So it's usually a vegetable-based curry, something like that. Meals with rice in different forms. So like I was talking about this right here, we'll talk about this a little later, but all of these foods are somewhat rice-based, which is very interesting. So rice in some kind of form is pretty popular as a breakfast. And sometimes Western breakfasts can also be popular, such as bread with jam is pretty popular. Get freshly baked bread in India, and also something like cereal. But traditionally, chapati or paratha with curry is common, or like a rice form. For lunch, rice with various curries is also pretty common. So if you see on the bottom left, there is a picture of a typical lunch. You can see here some white rice, and then there's various little curries. And this white glob you see on top, that's actually ghee, which I sort of mentioned in earlier. It's clarified butter, and people like to put it in their rice as well. So it just gives a really nice buttery flavor. Chai, you might know what chai is, you might not, but if you don't, chai is a spiced milky tea, and it is often drunk in the morning and evenings or with guests, and it is often paired with sweets, biscuits, and savory snacks. So it's basically kind of like your tea time, and chai is like just it's tea leaves, milk, which is cooked with milk, and often some spices like cardamom, cinnamon, and it's really dependent on what the person prefers, but it's usually all cooked together and strained, and it's very, very delicious. So in terms of some eating habits, in India, food is traditionally eaten by the hand, specifically the right hand, as you can see in the picture right here. Left hand is considered to be unclean and it is disrespectful to use while eating. So when you eat, you typically just use your right hand. Western utensils are also used, but they're primarily used for serving. But they are also used at home as well, and also in restaurants. But it's really based on preference. Everyone just kind of uses both, or at home they'll eat by hand. Eating on banana leaves is another traditional way to eat food since the leaves are large and banana leaves are very large and very strong, and so it can hold a large amount of food. And then it's biodegradable, obviously, so it can be discarded pretty easily and it's sustainable. It's kind of used like a disposable like eating surface. Sharing utensils is generally disliked in Indian culture. They don't like to, if you're using a spoon, you won't use the same spoon for someone else. If you're eating from it, I mean, not for serving, but generally sharing utensils is disliked. So that is just another little pointer. But yeah, the main thing here is eating by hand is very, very popular.
So personalizing your plate. So from a nutrition aspect, you would follow a My Plate recommendation. And if you don't know what My Plate is, it is basically just dietary guidelines for proper food portions. And when you personalize your plate, you should include your favorite foods from each food group, consume a variety of foods to help make sure you're consuming various nutritions that are needed for good health. And then the guidelines would go as follows. So it would be filling half of your plate with fruits and vegetables, trying different grains, substituting whole grains for refined grains, choosing lean proteins like fish, lentils, beans, and completing the meal with a dairy, whether it's low fat milk, fat free milk, or yogurt. And so over here, you can see we just have some examples of creating a healthy plate with Indian cuisine. So meal planning should always be fun and personalized with the foods you love. So some of the examples we gave were for breakfast. We put bisan chila, which is a savory pancake made with chickpea flours and vegetables. And you can have it with a side of extra tomatoes and spinach and a cooked egg. For lunch, butter chicken curry with brown rice and a salad of your choice. For a snack, lassi, which is buttermilk or yogurt blended with fruit, herbs, or spices. And you'll hear of both butter chicken and lassi a little bit more in the further slides. Cashews, almonds, or other nuts with dry fruit for a snack. And then lastly, for dinner, rajma, which is kidney beans and onion, tomato sauce, and spices. And you can have it with some brown rice and green leafy vegetables of your choice.
So I'm going to talk a little bit and show you some common foods that can be found in India. So this is for breakfast. This is some things that you might have for breakfast in India. I briefly mentioned 2 or 3 of these. So this is idli right here. This is a steamed rice cake, which is often eaten with a chutney. If you don't know what a chutney is, it's basically a spicy sauce made with various vegetables, fruits, and spices. And it is commonly dipped into like an idli, for example, would be dipped into it and then eaten. So very, very soft and fluffy and very delicious. Another food I have right here, this is called upma, this one. And this is a semolina based porridge, which is spiced with mustard seeds and curry leaves. Um, and another thing is dosa, which I mentioned earlier. This is also a savory, crispy crepe, which is made from fermented rice and lentil batter. And it is often eaten with a coconut-based chutney or spiced mashed potatoes. You can kind of see it folded into the dosa right there. And this one right here, these little donut shaped things, this is called vada. Vada is basically a deep fried savory donut made of a lentil based batter. It is often eaten with a chutney as well. So you can kind of see a pattern here. We got a lot of chutneys going on in the morning. And usually I'll have with like yogurt or something like that. This is another common breakfast. This is a more daily thing. This is called paratha. It's very similar to, if you remember from our previous slides, let me remind you real quick. It's very similar to this flatbread right here. This is called roti or chapati, but the paratha differs in the way that it is like cooked with ghee. So it usually has ghee incorporated, ghee being clarified butter, and it's incorporated into the dough, so it has a really flaky texture, really rich flavor. So either that is made plain and eaten with a side of curry or achar, which is like a pickle, or it is often stuffed with some sort of vegetable. So for example, you see these mashed potatoes here. If you fold it into the paratha, it will be called an aloo paratha, which is basically a a stuffed paratha. Super delicious, often eaten with yogurt. Another picture right here, this is puri. Puri is basically like puffed wheat dough. It's kind of similar to paratha, but it's deep fried. So it puffs up really nicely. It's really crispy and really nice, and often it's eaten with potatoes or some sort of curry. Usually either made from potatoes or chickpeas actually. So that is another common breakfast. These are just scratching the surface of popular dishes in India. This is called butter chicken. You might be familiar with this if you've been to an Indian restaurant before. Butter chicken, it is also called murg makhni in Hindi. And this is basically a tomato and cashew based chicken curry, super velvety, super delicious. If you've had it, you probably know how good it is. So we will actually be learning how to make this later on, so stay tuned for that. We also have pav bhaji. This is pav bhaji right here. So pav actually means these little dinner rolls. They're called pav. They're usually like really puffy, really soft, and they're often toasted with butter, and they're eaten with this mashed sort of curry with different vegetables mixed into it. So it's super healthy, excluding the butter, of course. And we also have here biryani. I briefly mentioned this when we were looking at the diverse map thing. This is basically how it looks like. It is basically a like kind of mixture of rice cooked with meat and different spices. So it is very, very popular in India. Actually, a lot of places have their own variation of this, but the most popular is Hyderabadi biryani, which is found in the city of Hyderabad, which is more in south of India. So that's like the most popular recipe. But actually, even like Bangladesh and Pakistan makes their own version of biryani. So it's super popular in South Asia. Aloo gobi, this is aloo gobi right here. Aloo means potato in Hindi, gobi means cauliflower. So this is basically potato and cauliflower curry, and it is often eaten for breakfast or even lunch. You might even find this in your local Indian restaurants. Really, really delicious. And another thing here, this is dal, and it's kind of like a lentil stew type soup, often eaten with rice, also super flavorful. I'm probably making all of you hungry right now. So here we go. Last but not least, we got some snacks and sweets. India is known for being very adamant about snacks and sweets. These are just some of the snacks that are available. Some of you might know this. This is called samosa. It's like a little dough pastry filled with potatoes, or sometimes it has meat in it, like chicken. And it is often eaten with like a green spicy chutney that has like green chilies and stuff in it, or some people just like to stick with ketchup. We love our ketchup right here. We also have pani puri. This is very similar to what we looked at earlier. This is like a big puri. This is probably the size of my hand. But this one, these are very, very small. These are like bite sized, and it is often filled with a spice juice mixture of like water, lime, and chaat masala, which is like a specific masala you might see in an Indian store. And it is dipped in that, and it's filled with chickpeas and super savory, and super delicious. It's a really great snack. This is another thing. This is called muruku or murkul. It's kind of like chickpea flour that is deep fried and it gets really crispy. So it's sort of like a cracker, but a lot thicker. And it's often eaten with like tea and things like that. This is another thing right here, chorwa or namkeen. This is kind of like a mixture of different things. Sometimes it has different nuts in it. Like you could kind of see in this picture, we got some cashews, we got some peanuts, and a lot of different like things in there. We got like puffed rice and a lot of different things in there. It always varies, but this is just another thing that you would take a spoonful in your hand and you would just pop it into your mouth, and another fun thing to have with tea. This is called mithai. Mithai is basically, it just means sweets in Hindi, and these come in such a vast variety. You can see on this plate alone, there's so many things here. I don't even know the names of most of these. So the only thing I can probably name right here, this is called a gulab jamun. It's kind of like a rosy sweet. It has like a rose flavor in it. This is called a laddu, which is also like kind of a ball of like sweet little things, and I can't even explain it. You have to try it for yourself. So so these are just a variety of different sweets that are super popular in India. Another thing right here is we got kulfi. Kulfi is like a saffron and pistachio flavored ice cream that is very popular in India. And last but not least, we got mango lassi. We sort of mentioned this earlier, and we will be learning how to make this. Danya will show us how to make it. And this is basically a mango, sort of like a mango milkshake with yogurt and milk, and it's often flavored with mango, obviously, and saffron and nuts sometimes, and other spices if preferred. So I'll stop talking, and now we're going to move on to our food demonstration. So I'll go ahead. We're going to start with mango lassi, and I'll let Danya go ahead and introduce her recipe.
Yeah, so I'm going to be demonstrating how to make the mango lassi, and it's a really, really refreshing drink with mangoes, yogurt, and milk, as Zaina mentioned. And a lot of times people just spice it. I mean, I think I've seen personally just different spices, and I used cardamom personally. The best part about it is it's really easy to make. So here is the demo.
I'm just pulling it back up. Don't mind me. Okay, there we go. And we've got our recipe right here. Let me know if you guys can hear it. If you can't, please let me know. Sorry, my bad. We'll just watch this on YouTube.
Hello, I'm Danya Abed, and I'm going to be showing you guys how to make mango lassi, which is a refreshing drink from Indian cuisine. So for this recipe, you're going to need a blender. I'm going to be making a single serve recipe. So I'm going to be using this smaller blender, and the ingredients are going to be 1 cup of mango. I'm using fresh mango. You can also use mango pulp if you'd like. Next, we're gonna need a 1/3 cup of full fat yogurt. Make sure it's full fat. Then we're going to need 1/2 cup of milk. You can also use water, but milk is probably gonna be better. And a tablespoon of sugar. You can alter the sugar to your liking. It doesn't have to be a full tablespoon. And then just a pinch of cardamom. So we're gonna put everything into the blender. Try to get that last bit. And we're gonna do the milk, the full fat yogurt, our sugar. I like it sweet, so I'm gonna go for the full tablespoon, and then just a little bit of cardamom. And actually, this is optional. You can add ice if you'd like. I'm gonna add ice to mine. here. And you can go ahead and blend. Should be all done. And the final result will look like this. I'll put it into a cup. Pour it in. And it's a really refreshing final result.
Alrighty, so that was Danya's recipe for mango lassi. Super quick, as you can see. It only took her 5 minutes to make, which is amazing. And here is the recipe for it. Oh, my bad. So, okay. And here is the recipe for it. And we will be sending out the recipes to everyone through email. And Professor Kubota, I just want to let you know that we didn't receive the recipes for the last workshop, so we'll talk about that later. But yeah, so we'll be sending this out to you guys so you guys can make it at home. So for me, I made butter chicken. This is something that if you've been to an Indian restaurant, this is a super popular food that most people like to order. It is a very creamy tomato and cashew-based curry made with chicken, and it is very, very flavorful, and it's great paired with rice or with some fluffy naan. So I'll go ahead and play this for you. All right, so that is my recipe for butter chicken. And I might have mentioned it, but it's also called murg makhni. That's just the Hindi name for it. And there's just a couple things that I will point out. I know in the part where I'm blending it, you can actually use any blender that you have that you think can really process your all the nuts and everything in there. If you think that it can process it well, just use any blender that you have, immersion blender or regular blender, whatever you have. Go ahead and use that. And also, I will say that I know in the video the mixture was really hot when I was trying to do it. I was just in a rush, so that's why. But please, for your own safety, just make sure that you cool everything before you grind it, because it was getting a little bit dangerous with all that hot stuff flying everywhere. So just make sure you're being safe in the kitchen and make sure you're cooling everything down before grinding it. Or if you're just doing it in like a closed blender, then you should be fine. But just to be safe, and also, you can also make this completely vegan if you want to substitute the chicken for tofu, and you could completely omit like the butter in there. And also there is a little bit of sugar that I added just for a hint of sweetness. You can also omit that if you would like. This is a very versatile recipe. And also I did include a lot of whole spices, such as like bay leaves, cloves, cinnamon. If you don't have whole spices, that's totally fine. If you bought some garam masala from like the store, you can just use a teaspoon of that. Or if you have powdered spices, you could just use that instead as well. So you can just make it how you can, or what based on what you have available. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed our food demos for today. And I believe
Yeah, I actually wanted to add also for the mango lassi as well, you can also substitute based off of your dietary needs as well. Like the milk doesn't have to be cow's milk. You can use oat milk, almond milk, even water if that's your preference. So yeah, I just wanted to check that out also.
yes, and you could definitely use, if you like plant-based yogurt, that's totally fine too. And actually, even mangoes, like if you can't find fresh mangoes, if you go to the Indian grocery store, they actually have canned mango puree, which is specifically for these mango-based desserts. Or if you can find canned mango and grind it up, that's totally fine too. So like based on whatever you have available, you can definitely change it up. And also if you don't have cardamom, for example, totally fine if you omit it. Personally, I omit it as well. So it's really up to you. You can make these recipes how you like it and just like experiment based on your preferences. So that's like the really cool thing about cooking by yourself. So you can change it however you like. So hopefully that is helpful for you. And yeah, I believe that is the end of our presentation. Thank you all for coming for our presentation. We are really happy to have brought you this programming for this season. We hope to see you again in the coming semesters. And if you have any questions, any concerns, please feel free to reach out. You can ask me questions right here. And if you have any other specific questions, you can also direct them to Professor Kubota, who is also here today. Thank you all for listening to us. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.
Thank you guys. We appreciate you coming.
I just want to say thank you to Zaina, who arranged for our programming this semester. She did a wonderful job. It was so nice having her and all of the community nutrition students who helped this semester. Zaina is going to be a grad student in the fall. I'm not sure where, if she's going to be at UC Davis or at San Jose State.
I have not decided yet.
She's not decided yet. Okay. We'll miss her if she goes to UC Davis, but we're excited that she's going to continue her studies in nutrition and get her master's in nutrition. So that's very exciting. And be looking for us. Hopefully we'll have some programming for you over the summer. and for sure in the fall. If there's anything you're interested in learning about, please do let us know. We're happy to come up with programming ideas on our own, but we're also quite happy to present on topics that are interesting to you. So let us know if there's anything you'd like to hear about in the next sessions, and we can work on that. I will be sending out recipes after today. We have both the mango lassi recipe and the butter chicken recipe ready. So when the recording is finished, I'll make sure to send over the recording as well as the recipes. Yeah. So again, thank you to everyone.
Thank you, everyone. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact us. Otherwise, we will see you in the next one. Thank you so much for attending.